How do we feel about Trump trolling Trudeau? How do we feel about it? I guess, quite frankly, it doesn't matter how you feel about it because we now have action from this federal government before the Christmas break that they're dropping $1.3 billion on border security. It's a 5-pillar plan that Dominic LeBlanc announced yesterday evening, and it addresses these things. It addresses detecting and disrupting the fentanyl trade, new tools for law enforcement, enhancing operational coordination, increasing information sharing, and minimizing unnecessary border volumes. That is the plan the Liberals have put forward of where they're going to put $1.3 billion of spending to address the border issues here in Canada, to avoid the 25% tariffs that would ravage our economy and the tariff war that could later ensue between the two countries. Is this a good plan? Will this be effective? Will this get done the things we need to get done? We don't know if $1.3 billion will do the trick. We don't really know what the extent of that spending is. Are they looking to try and get deals, or are they just looking to throw money at a problem? That is a question a lot of Canadians are having, at least the Canadians that are thinking critically about this very issue. Securing our border is a good thing. Our premiers have come out in full force. Danielle Smith has said it. Wab Kinew has said it. Doug Ford has said it. And many others have agreed to the point that, yes, we need to secure our borders. This is a good thing. Pierre Poilievre was asked if $1.3 billion will do the trick, or if he would spend a different amount of money, or if he would spend a more amount of money is required to deal with this issue. And this was his response to that.
Well, you ask a classically CBC question, which is how much money can you spend on a problem? Well, that's the wrong question. That's exactly the question Trudeau has been asking for 9 years. It's the reason he's doubled our debt while making everything worse. You know, for example, he spent $80 billion on housing affordability. Well, how'd that work? He doubled housing costs. He spent $60 million on his gun confiscation. 0 guns. He spent millions on a school food program that hasn't served a single solitary meal. So we should not judge a program based on how expensive we can make it. We should judge it by what it can do.
And spot on. We want to know what this $1.3 billion is going to do. I'm curious what the backroom talks were like. We know that LeBlanc was the person who presented this today because, well, he's the only option Trudeau has now that Freeland has stepped down. And we know that the premiers were working together trying to figure out a plan long before the feds ever got involved to help them out and secure their part of the issue, which is the federal border that they need to take care of. That is the federal government's responsibility, is taking care of the border, national security. That's their jurisdiction. But the premiers had to band together to figure something out because Trudeau's just dragging his feet. And while Trudeau is dragging his feet, you had Trump just trolling him and trolling him and trolling him to the point where Canadians are in debate of like, if this was a good thing, if they're in support of this, if they're not in support of this. Me and Reg had this conversation yesterday, and a lot of you got in the comments saying, Reg, shut your mouth. I disagree. I think he needs to be made fun of. I think he needs to be mocked. I think Canada needs this right now because right now, at the end of the day, Canada elected this man. And now he's getting publicly mocked for everything he's done and doing. So in some cases, a lot of people say that he deserves this. And to that I say, personally, I agree. I'm actually okay with Trump trolling Trudeau. I'm okay with the spotlight Trump is putting on Trudeau and Canada. Right now, yes, it's a bad light. People aren't liking it. It's not fun. It's not fun to have our dirty laundry shown upon the world. And that's what we're seeing right now. The global community is making fun of Trudeau. Trump is highlighting all his weaknesses and everything he is. And Canadians, we typically have always loved to be under the radar. We haven't wanted people to know our dirty laundry. We haven't wanted people to know what was going on in our country. We've only wanted people to know that we are nice people, that we care for others, that we are always open the door for you. We say please and thank you. We were beloved abroad. Now we are an open mockery on the global stage. And people don't like that. Canadians aren't a fan of that. They want Trump to stop. And I say, you only stop until you get what you need from us. And we need to essentially hold up our end of the bargain. Take care of the border and everything will end. This will all stop. And obviously Trump's trolling has led to the Liberal cabinet being in absolute disarray. Trump's trolling has led to Freeland stepping down, has led to Fraser stepping down, and has left Trudeau trying to swoop Carney in. And Carney is smart enough to see, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. So now Trudeau can't even get Carney in, which is getting to the point where Trudeau is starting to have a limited amount of cards to play here. And so while this is going on in Canada, while things are just blowing up in his face and he's at these stupid galas that he was at the Liberal Party last night giving his whole speech, oh yeah, I love you guys, I love Canada. And then, oh yeah, you're amazing, man, we love you.
It has been an eventful couple of days. It hasn't been easy. And that's why I'm so happy to see you guys. You know, it's hard not to feel happy when we're like this, among liberals, among family, because that's what we really are, a big family. Now, like most families, sometimes we have fights around the holidays. But of course, like most families, we find our way through it.
That was music to his ears. He needed to hear that because everyone's been ripping on him because his cabinet is falling apart. So while this is going on, things are blowing up in his face here in Canada. You have Fox News down in the States saying things like this.
What Trudeau did and what a lot of these governments did, you know, with the truckers, he froze their bank accounts. He canceled the orders. He shut down GoFundMe when they arrested them and stopped them. And I got to tell you, this guy he looks like a wimp to me. He always did. He doesn't strike me. He really doesn't strike me as like a guy with charisma. Let's say Bill Clinton. Let's say John F. Kennedy. I mean, it doesn't have to be a Republican. But, you know, he calls himself a feminist. He says, I'm a feminist. And he said America had the missed opportunity to elect a woman president. And then he's over there having dinner with President-elect Trump because he realizes, you know, he's going down in Canada. What?
Fox openly mocking him on American airwaves, saying that, calling him out for all the things that we have Canadians have been calling out for. It's going as far back as the convoy. And then freezing bank accounts, him being a fake feminist and launching women out of his cabinet like they're going out of style. The body count of female cabinet members is just piling up as we speak. I think we're up like around 9 at this point. For the past 9 years, one every year. Congratulations. And then coming down to the personal attacks. He's a wimp, they say. Kind of looks like a wimp. Not someone I want to trust. Not someone I want to deal with. That's just Fox News, right? That's just Fox News. They're right wing, conservatives. But even the liberal commentators in the States are ripping on Trudeau. See this woman? Yep, a lot of you who follow politics know exactly who that is. That's our friend Joy Reid, who is absolutely crazy, as far left as you can go far. And even she had this to say about Trudeau.
As he builds his administration, he will always reward weakness with more humiliation. And that includes foreign leaders like Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who went to Mar-a-Lago last month to kiss the ring, behaving like Trump was already president, which he's not. And how does Trump reward him? By publicly mocking Trudeau on his social media site, once again calling Trudeau the governor of the great state of Canada. Joining me now is Tim O'Brien, senior executive editor of Bloomberg Opinion and MSNBC political analyst. And I have to tell you, this Trudeau thing really bothered me. Let me just put up this tweet that Trudeau posted on, why is he still on X Twitter? But he posted this tweet of himself. Look at me next to Donald. Look, what is he doing? When will people learn, Tim, that emasculating yourself before Trump, as Ted Cruz did, as so many have done, doesn't help?
Obviously, she's, taking her time to rip on Trump, but calling Trudeau out, saying he's emasculating himself in front of Trump. Even the left-wing media in the States is saying, you're a joke. You are soft. 10-ply, bud. You're terrible. So it comes back down to the sake of how as Canadians do we feel about this? There are some who are very happy and cheering it on. There's others who are uncomfortable with it. I am in the camp of cheering it on. We need help. We needed help. It's okay to admit it, Canada. We needed help. We couldn't get this guy out of office ourselves. We just needed some help from the big old bad Trump. Just to poke him over the edge with his tariffs, openly mocking him in public, making a spectacle of him on the global stage, and seeing everything fall apart. In the short term, yes, it's bad for Canadians because our government leaders are literally unhinged, falling apart at the seams, which shows that Canada is very weak. And if we are attacked or anything were to happen, we don't have anyone in a place of leadership that could actually stem the tide. So that part, I admit, is very scary. It's kind of the similar scariness that the U.S. was facing when they had Joe Biden at the helm. A little terrifying. And that's what Canada's feeling right now. And personally, speaking as me, I'm okay with Trump trolling because it's going to force this man and his cabinet and his government into obscurity where we as Canadians want them to be. We want new leadership. And then we can come to the table and have some real talks of deals as Pierre Poilievre of the Conservatives walked to the table with Trump. Even Jesse Waters on Fox News says, I know Poilievre's a good guy, but having someone who's a little stronger coming to the table is not exactly a good thing for us as Americans, but he will also get things under control at the border above us. So that's also a good thing. Even the Americans were like, yeah, you guys having Poilievre isn't helpful to us, but it is helpful to us at the same time. All it takes is just a good business relationship to get things going. And clearly, Trudeau was not interested in that. So Trump resorted to what he usually does and starts bullying him because he's able to. Trudeau's letting him bully him. And now we have here, before Christmas, a $1.3 billion plan to address the border, Liberal cabinet falling apart, Trudeau facing screams of please resign, and he's at parties trying to get the glory while he can. Adulation from his peers that he's a good guy, that he's awesome. All the credit and love a narcissist needs to survive. On the flip side, we have Danielle Smith, who's having some good conversations with her American counterparts with how Alberta's addressing the border on their side of the country. And she jumped on with Fox News, which was a very different conversation.
The decision to do that, because it seems like you are meeting our president-elect Trump where he is with his concerns about illegal immigration into the United States. Why respond in kind there?
Well, I can tell you that when I hear President-elect Trump speak and tell you the things that are irritating him, I take him seriously. And so we know that we've got a problem in Canada as well with the illegal trafficking in humans, in the illegal trafficking of guns, and in the illegal trafficking of fentanyl. So we went down a pathway a couple of years ago to start shoring up our sheriffs to train them so that they can be deployed at the border as well as on specialized teams for fentanyl. And we're just accelerating that plan. So we've got 51 officers that will be deploying 7 units. They'll be armed. We'll have drone technology so that they're able to monitor the border. In addition, we'll have dog sniffing crews so that we can do commercial vehicle inspections. And we're going to establish a 2-kilometer zone, which is considered a critical infrastructure defense zone, so that we can catch people going in and out and make sure that nobody is going either way who mean to cause either of our countries harm.
So you seem to want to work with President Trump, but some of your peers in other provinces seem to want to fight with him. That seems like a very bad idea for Canada, because we purchase a lot of your energy products, especially from Alberta. Do you stand alone in that? Or, like in the U.S. and California, New York, we kind of see this blue to red shift, a little more conservative shift. Are you getting more of a conservative shift happening in Canada these days?
I'm doing my best to try to convince my colleagues that a tariff war is one we cannot win. The American economy is $27 trillion. The Alberta or the Canadian economy is about $2.7 trillion. And so the amount of goods that cross the border, it hurts us far more to have tariffs on incoming products and outgoing products than it does the U.S. And so we're trying to talk in terms of American interests. We know there's a lot of energy that comes down to the U.S. It means you have cheaper gasoline. We calculate a 25% tariff would increase the cost of your gasoline by $1 a gallon. We also on the East Coast have a lot of electricity that comes down. That will increase your power prices if it goes up 25%. Auto parts go back and forth across our border about 6 or 7 times. And so it'll just increase the cost of cars. And so we've got such a positive relationship, an integrated economy. We both benefit from it. And so let's address the issues that are irritants, and then maybe we can talk about a more constructive trade relationship.
And I think Danielle Smith, that was the right approach. That was a very diplomatic approach for dealing with what we're talking about. Addressing and validating what Trump is feeling, which is important in business. Validate how the other side's coming from. Show where you're coming from. Look at the reality of the situation, how it impacts both parties, and then make a deal from there. Danielle Smith, it's just grade A negotiations here. Yes, the left's going to be telling her, oh, you don't know what you're doing. You're an idiot. Blah, 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 blah. This was fantastic. Validating Trump, that his concerns are valid. Looking how they can solve that issue to deal with it. And at the same time, avoid the tariffs if they come. And then also reminding Trump and the American people that if a tariff war were to happen, it's really bad for us. Like we will lose that 9 times out of 10. Actually, in this case, 10 out of 10. But she also reminded Americans the pain that they would feel with the tariffs being put on us. It won't be as much as what Canada's going to feel, but you'll feel pain, like an extra $1 a gallon on gas. Think about it if you want that. Talking about reality, really interesting. Love to see it. But it brings us back to the point. $1.3 billion spent on the border and securing it. We'll see where that happens. We'll see where that goes. We hope it will take care of business so we can avoid these 25% tariffs with Trump. Comes back down to the final question. Now that we're here and seeing what has transpired as we enter Christmas, was Trump's trolling a good thing or a bad thing? Love to hear it in the comments. Have yourself a good one. I'm out.